Greetings and welcome to another Diablo 4 video. Today we're gonna talk about gems. Yes, gems. Everybody loves them, everybody adores them. Okay, let's be real. We all know it about all the gems that are cropping up in the inventory while we are out there looking for serious loot, and all we get is like these gems cramping up our inventory. We're not gonna talk about this. Obviously, we need a gem tab or like a gem bag or like what have you, something that I don't know why one of these gems is like occupying the same space as one thick legendary crossbow. I want to talk about what are the best gems, what gems should you use. First of all, of course, it depends on your class and on your build. But there are some that are significantly better, I think. But please tell me in the comments what do you think about them. As of right now, single elemental resistances or shadow resistance or poison resistance is not worth it because it has like some kind of diminishing returns and it has like a weird calculation. You can see it here. I have cold resistance 47%. These boots give me 52. I put them off and it only changes by 15%. But it says 52.9, right? So a huge amount of cold resistance I need as a stat, as a role, and that's just one resistance. So that's not good enough. Here it says reduce incoming cold damage by 16.4, and if I put them on, it's 23.6. So they basically give me 6 to 7% effective cold resistance, which is just so bad. So these greaves, I cannot change the affix here on the cold resistance, but in general, I would not look for single resistance on my items. That means all these gems that give you resistance in jewelry basically are not good enough. Same goes for the diamond, it gives resistance to all, but it's so insignificant that it's not worth it. So what we're looking for skulls, because skulls give armor, and armor is the best in terms of resistance, in terms of reducing damage. As you can see here, it reduces physical damage taken by a huge amount, and 55%. It's take off this ring, which gives me 220 armor. And now it's 51%. So 220 armor reduced the physical damage taken by 4%. That's huge. Also, non-physical damage taken is reduced according to your armor contribution. So also non-physical damage like cold, fire, lightning is also reduced by armor. Not the full amount, not 55%, but something. I mean, here it says like 50% is initial damage from cold and then the remainder contributed by armor. It's like a weird, complicated, nobody really knows what's going on formula, but the physical reduction alone is like huge. If I put them off here, I have 8% more that I take. And these only are these skulls doing the work. So I would advise to put in armor like skulls in your jewelry. And as for like the other armor pieces, I'm going with max life. I like that. I like to have a little bit more life. But Topaz is also really good because it gives you a huge damage reduction while control impaired. And most of the time, if you get damage or huge amounts of damage, it's when you're control impaired, if you're CC'd, if you're stunned, if you're frozen, if you're slowed. So this should take a lot of the load because you can put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's 45% less damage while you're control impaired. Others are like reducing damage taken over time. I don't find that happening too often. I mean, there's like a dungeon with a lot of spiders with poison. Maybe that's relevant there, but others is thorns. If you have a thorns build, maybe that's relevant. And then damage reduction by fortified could be interesting if you are running a build with a lot of fortified. And then lastly, in terms of weapons, I'm going with critical strike damage to vulnerable enemies. Because in my build, I'm always making the enemies vulnerable, so this will suit me very well. I was running this one as well, critical strike damage to crowd control, because I'm also running with chill effects, with slows, etc. So this is similar. I don't think it matters in my build as much. They're both good. Overpower damage might be relevant to you if you're running an overpower build, like a druid. Basic skill damage I don't see relevant at the time. I could be wrong. I haven't seen anything like that is worth boosting basic skill as much. I mean, I'm using a lot of basic skill, so I'm considering it and I will test it out. Other than that, if you have damage over time, but this doesn't seem as great as like a direct damage type. And then we have life on kill, which, yeah, might give you some sustain if you need it. But for this, oh yeah, and ultimate skill damage if you're like using always ultimate skill and you have it like all around and not on cooldown as much, this might be interesting to you. But I feel like for the armor, like Topaz or Ruby would be best for now, and then the skulls is just the best in jewelry. I mean, it's just the best. As for weapons, again, it vastly depends on your build, but you can't go wrong with vulnerable if you're making your enemies vulnerable anyway, so it's a huge amount of damage. Yeah, that's it. That's about gems. That's what you can look out for. You can just stash your gems in the stash. Stash it in the stash. Yeah, exactly. And then still you can go to your favorite jeweler and upgrade the gems, and then they will appear in your inventory. Maybe something else about gems here, like if I upgrade, for example, the emerald here, these 3 emeralds come from my stash, and then it pops up here. So I can just keep them in the stash. I always put them in the stash, and I'm not really picking up anything else than flawless anymore that I find. I think I will unlock the better ones at level 70, not 100% sure. And of course, you can unsocket gems or add sockets to your gear and upgrade your jewelry here. I guess you know that. So there you go. That's what you need to know about gems at the moment. Small hint: keep your jewelry, keep your gems, because it was data mined that there is a higher tier than royal. So after flawless, there's royal amethyst, and then it was data mined that there might be 3 more tiers after that, but they're not unlocked yet. So we see about that, but don't throw away your gems and just pick them up. I know it's tedious, I know it's annoying, but keep them in your stash. I probably could just throw the crude ones now that I'm thinking about it. They're not really selling for much, so I can just throw them. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but everything flawless and above I think is worth keeping. And yeah, there you go. You don't lose your gems if you salvage it. You can unsocket it, but you can also salvage and you get the gems back, so don't worry about that. They will always be with you, clogging up your inventory. And that's it. If you found this information helpful, consider liking and subscribing. There will be more content like this in the future. And thank you so much for watching. Good luck and fun. And goodbye.